Good afternoon. Today is July 16, 1789. Following last week's news, the report of the rise in bread prices, the dismissal of Necker, and many other contributing factors have led to this moment. We come to you today with the recent updates about the events that caused the storming of the Bastille that now circulates the news. These events include King Louis XVI deploying his foreign mercenaries to Paris to attempt to keep the peace. However, this did not end in the king's favor. There has been anger in the population and spreading all over Paris. Not only this, but the famous tennis course oath also spread growing unrest towards the king, and signs have pointed to this key cause of the storming of the Bastille. After this unrest had begun growing, the revolution mob gained access to firearms and cannon that they had taken from the Hotel des Invalides. Reports of gunpowder that was moved to the Bastille was also in an attempt for safekeeping from the growing unrest. Some of the population wanted to protect themselves from the perceived mercenary threat, and the Partisans created Matilla. From there, they wanted to arm themselves with weapons, and this is the initial interest in the Bastille because this group wanted to take the gunpowder. However, not only did the events leading up to the Bastille are important, but the influence and impact that the storming had on France is imperative to report. By reporting on the following event, it has become abundantly clear that France is in threat of, or has now even lost, its symbol of royal tyranny, and the absolute monarchy has become weakened. It also gathered others to join the revolution. Other accounts have mostly been focused on other events during this time period. The question that the France reporting press intends to answer is, did the storming of the Bastille, its failing in the aftermath, represent a serious challenge to the French monarchy, perhaps even bringing it down and paving the way for the French Revolution, or was it simply a mob attack created out of anger towards the king because of the common or the growing unrest in this period?
Parker, reporting live from the Bastille of France. I am here, and there have been multiple accounts of different violent actions that have taken place. Today is July 14th, 1789, and what a spectacle this event has turned into. A few hours ago, the discussion between Marquis Launay and different citizens demanding the removal of the cannons had taken place. Specifically, the group gathered here today consists of craftsmen from the Paris suburbs, small merchants, and soldiers who are armed with pikes, knives, and different axes. They have stormed the area around here and were demanding the cannons to be removed. Here's the information that we have. Here's a look at some exclusive footage we have obtained during our report.
Footage covers the discussion between the governor and citizens about removing the cannons. Here we see the citizens entering to discuss the matter. Following the news clip of discussion, we have the gathered information about the aftermath of the cannons being removed, and this led to the mob assuming that they were to be fired on, and panic spread. The mob demanded for the Bastille to be opened because it was property of the people, and they saw it as an abuse of power of the king and wanted gunpowder. The governor refused to open the gates, and the mob began to enter, and an officer ordered to take aim and ordered fire. Back to Caroline, who has an account with a partisan citizen involved with the storming.
I am here with participant Keversol, who has vital information about the Bastille.
The Invalides were drawn up in a line on the right and the Swiss on the left. They had their arms up against the wall. They clapped their hands and cried "Bravo" to the besiegers who came crowding into the fortress. Those who came in first treated the conquered enemy humanely and embraced the staff officers to show that there was no ill feeling. But a few soldiers posted on the platforms and were unaware that the fortress had surrendered, discharged their muskets, whereupon the people, transported with rage, threw themselves on the Invalides and used them with the utmost violence. One of them was massacred.
We have further footage including the violence that began very horrifically once the riders entered the gates, including the shooting of many partisans or middle class from above. Like Kershaw stated, this event turned very violent in a matter of seconds.
We also have coverage of the governor's head that was placed on a stick. Specifically, news reports have just come in and from different participants that he has actually been beheaded, and this account comes from Delani, who has more information on this. However, this mob does represent an introduction of popular violence as a political weapon for the first time that we are seeing. And now people are wanting change at this very moment and wanting to attain it only through one way, through violence. I am here with a participant who is involved in the storming of the Bastille and has important information about the governor.
Trelawney was struck by 1,000 blows. His head was cut off and hoisted on the end of a pike with blood streaming down all sides. This glorious day must amaze our enemies and finally usher in for us the triumph of justice and liberty.
It is specifically already known that the French Revolution has begun on May 5th, 1789. However, the storming of the Bastille symbolizes much of the population becoming inspired across France to take action against the king and nobility, and we see this through the major celebration that is happening after the Bastille was taken. Further news footage after the Bastille was taken shows popular support for the revolution. It is also vital to see how different opinions have changed after the Bastille event has happened. I am here with Lord Dorset, who has more information on this.
Thus, my lord, the greatest revolution that we know anything of has been effected with, comparatively speaking, if the magnitude of the event is considered, the loss of very few lives. From this moment, we may consider France as a free country, the king a very limited monarch, and the nobility as reduced to a level with the rest of the nation. Thank you.
After reviewing this event in its entirety, it is also imperative to see the changes that have taken place specifically because of the storming of the Bastille. We move into an account from an individual who discusses how Necker might be reinstated after the storming of the Bastille has been taken. Thank you. I'm here with Mr. Jenkinson, who has more information about the rumors of King Louis reinstating Jacques Necker into his position.
Thank you, Caroline. The Bastille made some resistance but was taken yesterday evening. The governor and sub-governor had their heads cut off, which were carried in triumph around the city. There have been rumors that the king will submit to everything.
Following the interview with Mr. Jenkinson, it is important to see how this event, the storming of the Bastille, has specifically called for change in France.
Following the account from Lord Dorset, it is imperative to see that the aftermath of the storming of the Bastille shows the support from the people that the monarchy has become weakened. This information on the storming of the Bastille, consisting of the violence, interviews with Parisian citizens or other individuals within Paris, it is revealed that this mob attack represented much more. The most important concern is shown through the king making efforts to submit, which supports that the violent storming of the Bastille was more than a simple attack, but it strongly challenged the monarchy. It made efforts for the king to conform to demands. Now to the finale of our report. By showing different footage, information, and different accounts pertaining to the storming of the Bastille can confirm that it was not only an angry attack on the monarchy, but brought imperative changes during the French Revolution. The storming of the Bastille shows that the king seems to be more likely to make changes. In the beginning, the focus was on attaining equality between the three estates, and the partisans tried to protect themselves by gaining gunpowder. But this report has shown that the storming of the Bastille now represents people who see that they can now challenge the monarchy directly.